What is up, everybody? Zeke Rodriguez here with the always amazing
Alice Lara. And first, because it's Veterans Day, I have to say, our own wonderful veteran, U.S. Air Force, Zeke Rodriguez, the sexy New Mexican conservative Republican Latino. Did I get it all in, dude?
That's right, you got it in. I called her out because she hasn't called me that in a long time, and I was getting a little hurt about it. Nah, I'm just kidding. It's okay. It's just funny. But yeah, thank you for all the veterans. I did do my 4-year service in the United States Air Force a very long time ago. All my friends are retiring now.
Wow.
The ones that stayed in. Yeah. Shout out Brian Reilly, Tony Sanger, all my old school homeboys from active duty. You guys are doing great. It's good seeing you guys on Facebook, kicking ass and taking names with the wonderful families. And thank you for your service as well. Anthony Martinez, another good friend of mine that I grew up with. He's also in the Air Force as well. He went from blue to green, green to blue. He switched from the Army to Air Force.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's right. And he's doing really good now.
Interesting.
Cybersecurity specialist.
Wow.
He's moving back from Virginia this month.
Wow.
To finish off his time at Kirtland Air Force Base.
Okay, so I want you to keep talking for a minute because I'm going to start sharing. Those of you who are watching us on Facebook, hopefully you are right now, please share our program.
That's right.
I'm going to do that because we need to take a few minutes and talk about your service, why you actually decided to sign up, and where you were stationed, and would you do it again? How do you like all those
well,
questions?
I wasn't expecting all that, but yeah, sure, we can Q&A me all day. And me talk, I don't have any problem talking. That I don't have. So look, there's a lot of stuff going on. Definitely Veterans Day is a big day. The main thing about America is that we've always found a way to take really good care of our servicemen. And that's a tradition that goes back centuries to where the most noble knights, the best soldiers, always got the best land. They got the best business opportunities with farming. They would get offered the whole house, basically, because they're the ones who kept that country free. So in that same tradition, I think America's done a great job taking care of veterans. I've got good veteran disability. I'm not disabled, but I've had good services because I'm a veteran with my health and my medical. Trump, obviously, being in there was a big help with the choice champion. As soon as Trump got in office, there was a lot of medical services I was getting prevented. And I don't know why it's kind of tangential, but as a veteran, you are awarded medical benefits. If you're an active duty veteran with honorable discharge, you can get medical benefits and disability benefits for the rest of your life. And so even though I wasn't disabled, I did have some service-related injuries, and I couldn't get any services before Trump was in. There's just no way. As soon as Trump got in, I got the works, baby. I got MRIs,
Wow.
I got x-rays, I got whatever physical therapist I wanted to go to. I got healed up.
Is that where he changed it? It's like you could go, weren't limited to where you would go.
That's
He opened
right.
up the doors, right?
That's right. You were limited insofar as that you can go to a VA hospital that was nearby if they could potentially see you. But once Trump got in, he put in this thing called a choice champion, where the veterans, if you were authorized, you can choose what medical provider you wanted to go to depending on your situation. And for me, because my situation was so unique, I did have to go to a very unique specialist for my back, and I was able to get healed. So thank you, Mr. Trump. I'm very happy he's back in. I'm sure the veterans are going to benefit massively now that he's back in office. That being said, Alice, I think there's probably some stuff you want to get off your chest with the election, huh?
Well, it is, but before we do that, I want to just honor your service. I really do, because our vets, they just don't get enough attention. And I heard a stat, 18 million veterans are still alive here in the United States. That's a big chunk.
That's a lot.
And now that Trump is in, I think it was difficult for a lot of them to push the service factor with the guy who's in there right now.
Yeah.
So it's going to change our country immensely. But before we go to that wonderful topic, why did you say, okay, I want to be in the military? I just, tell the audience that. That's always the golden question.
Well, for me, it was a lot of familial stuff. My uncle was a Vietnam veteran. 2 of my basically stepbrothers were veterans. I had always had a very high regard of respect for servicemen, and I always felt compelled to serve. And to be honest, when I first joined, I was getting into a lot of trouble. A lot of my friends were going to jail for serious drug offenses, and we were young. We're like 16, 17 years old, and in fact, I was talking to one of my buddies this morning who's one of those guys, and he's doing fabulous now. Owns a wonderful couple of restaurants and a nice dispensary out in Silver City. Shout out to you, brother. But he was getting in trouble young, and he didn't get a chance to join the military because he got in too much trouble. Because
Wow.
you get a felony, you're done. But he was able to work himself out. He's a very successful businessman now. But for me, I decided to join the military because I felt like that was the best thing for me to do. And I had I think a little over 50 different traffic tickets of reckless driving, careless driving, some drug charges.
You're a bad boy.
I was a serious hardcore bad boy. I really was. And so the judge, when I was 17, said, hey, look, we're gonna throw your ass in jail. Or you're gonna join the military. I was like, I'll take the latter. And
Great decision.
So that's what I did. Yeah, my parents had to sign up for me when I was 17 years old. And so my whole senior year in high school, I just was like a good boy. I was scared as hell. I didn't want to, I didn't want to mess around. I was getting in shape. And I just got ready to go to the military. And that's what I did. Did my 4 years from 17. I had just turned 18 when I left, so I got out when I was 22.
Wow.
And my 4 years. But when I got in there, the whole reason of me joining had changed completely. Because, when I got out of boot camp and started going to tech school, because I was a security police officer, the first thing our commander said is like, more than half of you here are going to Afghanistan and Iraq. I'll tell you that right now. More than half of you. So we're all just looking around like, oh, shit. And, when you put your life on the line for your country and you work so hard to have an honorable service, you really, and you just have a different appreciation for this country. This is an amazing country. I was stationed in these different places with amazing human beings. And we have an amazing tradition. So I became super patriotic once I became in the military. I mean, the love for this country went through the roof because I went overseas too. Spent a lot of my time in Italy and in Europe. That's where you really appreciate America. You think you know racism? You think you know discrimination in America? Go hang out in northern Italy. Go hang out in Eastern European blocks, dude. Like it's even more. It's like a religious persecution as well too. Discrimination. So they'll discriminate you on your race, your skin color, discriminate you on your nation, discriminate you on your religion. So it's just like. And it's nothing like evil. That's just their evolutionary thing. They've just gone through centuries and centuries of having to make sure nobody gets in their tribe so no one destroys their culture. It's like, so you see that and you come back to America, especially here in New Mexico, where racism is like not even barely a thing, and everybody's so warm and welcoming, and the food is so good here. It's like, man, I'll do anything for America. We
are the core of ultimate diversity. I really do.
I think so. I think so. So nothing against the Europeans. Like I understand why you guys are like that, and a lot of the discrimination I experienced over there was because Bush was in office. And we all know, I think most of us don't really agree with all the frivolous wars that were going on throughout our nation's history, But that being said, I had a great time. I love my military service. Would I do it again? Yes. I could never take those years back. And I would encourage people to join the military now. If you're younger and, if you're a parent, you got a kid that's about to be 18, I would say, man, do it. Push your kids to do it. It's a life-changing experience for me. It changed my life. And
well, thank you again.
Forever grateful.
And thank you for sharing all that because it's very powerful. Also, a shout out to the Marines had their birthday yesterday. And what did you say, Gary? It was 1775?
Yep, November 10th, 1775.
Wow.
And shout out to Gary Huff, who's our audio engineer. Thank you very much for being here today. And I just want to mention a couple of people who are kind of big fans of our show. Phil Kingsbury and Juan Garcia, Marines, okay?
Dang.
My nephew, Air Force, U.S. Air Force, David Beasley.
That's right.
And all of you out there, thank you so much. And we're going to invite our veterans group from the Oregon. I think they're based in Oregon.
That's right.
And we're going to try to have them on here real soon so we can talk more about veterans issues. But yes, we have lots to talk about today, and I brought in my Trump sign from my yard sign. It's a little bit trampled on because of, who, Zeke?
Who?
My dog.
Oh. Who's stepping on your Trump sign?
We had it out for Halloween, okay? And she was so excited with the trick-or-treaters that she trampled it, she knocked it down. But she was also behind Trump, so I'll give her that,
it's all
right?
Good, yeah. It was an accident.
It was an accident. Unfortunately, in New Mexico and other places, maybe there's some outcomes we would have wanted for better, but this was like the most important one. Wouldn't you agree?
What, the election?
The outcome, the election.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was nervous. I think the last episode I was talking about, like, man, there's a chance she can freaking win, dude, but I recently learned about how we were able to get around the voter fraud. We can talk about that, too. So basically, we didn't have, in the last election, enough poll challengers, poll watchers, and lawyers on scene at the vote counting ballot warehouses.
Are you talking about all
nationwide?
Okay.
So in the swing states in particular, Trump spent about $150 million to get a certain amount of poll watchers, poll challengers, and lawyers on site at these vote counting warehouses to ensure that when the votes are counted, that no other ballots from California license plates or from New Jersey license plates were driving in a warehouse in the middle of the night, or they're kicking Republicans out. Because that's illegal. You can't be kicking Republicans out of the warehouse when they're counting. We had lawyers on scene through all the big swing states, and it cost $150 million to make sure they were there, to make sure the law was being followed, and that's why they were not able to cheat this time around.
Well, let me ask you too. I think in Arizona, you have cameras
That's right.
that
And
are
the
always
cameras are there
going.
as well. Great point.
And you never, they're not supposed to be shut off. So no matter what, that's how, like, was it Georgia or where they had that little box? There was, you could see the gal moving the box.
Yeah, they have it on film. I think it was in Arizona actually, where the California trucks with the big boxes of ballots are trying to pull in, but they can see the guy at the warehouse pointing at the camera like, "Can't do it, man. Too late. Too late." So they had to turn them around, and they weren't able to smuggle in because they front loaded their fraudulent ballots at the beginning as well, and we were able to counter that with our early voting. So by the time it came to election day and they realized how much more they had to make up, they couldn't come backfill because we had already gotten so many people to vote. I mean, people came out for Trump in record amounts. So we won because of that.
And I believe that Kamala's campaign is correct me if I'm wrong, $20 million in debt.
I saw that.
And
I saw that.
they spent so much money on bringing these big rock stars and having concerts. So, I mean, $20 million in debt. I just want to announce that to make sure that you don't miss that
They
piece
raised
of
$1 billion.
information.
They raised $1 billion.
It's incredible all the money that's spent on these campaigns.
Yeah. She
It
ran
really
through $1
is.
billion for the campaign. Super loser campaign too, by the way.
Wow.
I mean, it was just a terrible campaign.
So we are thrilled. We were talking earlier before the show, and you see the big map of the United States, and there's so much red in there. Obviously, the East Coast and the West Coast far off are blue. Our little New Mexico is very blue, okay? And so is Colorado. There's things that I'm going to mention that I just noticed because I'm an election nerd. One of the things is election night, I kept looking at the figures and like, okay, I'll just take, for example, Tofstad, who was my candidate for our state senate, District 36, and he was about 48%, okay? And some others were, different figures. By the next morning, ironically, I called him, I said, hey, you're at 44% now. I said, but so is this candidate, and so is this other candidate, which was odd. Okay, that's one odd thing. The other odd thing, and our wonderful candidate, Mr. Michael Caine, who was running for district attorney here in Doña Ana County, kind of the same thing happened but the gap between his race and also Yvette Harrell's race. Yvette Harrell, last election, lost by about 1,400 votes, I think. This one, I think she's closer to a 10,000 vote gap. And both of these campaigns were magnificently run, I think.
We ran hard campaigns. And, there's a lot of things just don't add up. With the Tofstad's campaign, and I talked to someone who was at the warehouse. I won't say any names, but it was a pretty big dog, and that individual was able to peruse through all of the different Republican candidates in Doña Ana, because it's just so funny that Florida can count their entire state, and I say this all the time, but, and I put a post on there, shout out to everybody who liked it, but Florida can count their whole state by 9 p.m. on election night.
And they're done. And you
they're
know what's
done.
going on.
It's in the bank. It's over, right? But Doña Ana, as of right now, guys, as I'm talking, is still not a certifiable election. They're still not done.
Are we the only county in New Mexico like that? Do you know? Are there other
I think
counties?
Otero's having some issues too.
Okay, and that's where
Last I
Alamogordo
heard,
is
they
in.
were counting on Friday as well in Otero.
Wow. And has the county clerk from Doña Ana given an official answer to that, why that is happening?
The only thing I saw was they posted on the Doña Ana County Clerk's Facebook was that they were thanking everybody for their patience because they're having a hard time counting all of the write-in ballots. Now, we had a write-in candidate, for those who don't know, for County Commissioner, Marcy Teague. So she was a write-in candidate, and I actually like the idea of a write-in candidate because that's kind of a nullifier of voter fraud too, because if you handwrite that sucker in there, ain't nobody changing that. That's
How can you change that?
So I thought it was kind of crafty if you really think of it that way. But the reality is, I don't think we've had anybody win in a write-in race since like 1902 or something like that.
It's very difficult for anybody, no matter what.
But
you
either
do.
way, Godspeed for her. She put her time, her money, and her love into it. That wasn't the point. The point is that the county clerk blamed that on not being able to count a county of 150,000 people in less than a week. It's going to be an entire week here coming up tomorrow.
That's right. And the other weird thing that happened as well is this weekend, all of a sudden, the homepage of Doña Ana County Clerk, it had the 2020 results there on the homepage. And so I took a screenshot of it and I posted it on my Facebook page. And then later somebody said, oh, I don't know where you're getting that information. Well, I said, look at the screenshot because this was a few hours later. And it was 7 in the morning or so. And when this guy looked at it, evidently they decided to change it back to 2024. And the other thing about that, okay, the 2024, what is it? It's about 66%. We'll just say 67% of the votership,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
In 2020, it actually had higher. I think it had more like
Yeah.
a couple of percentage points
Yeah,
higher,
we did
which
have more.
to me seems weird too, because I mean, am I just?
Well, they said we had record turnout in 2020, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then this year we for sure had super record turnout. So the discrepancy is record turnout with what? Absentee ballots? Record turnout with who or what? I mean, there's a lot of problems. There's a lot of the individual I talked to that was at the warehouse. Can't say any names. They said that there was anomalies in every single Republican race here in Doña Ana County. I mean, serious illegalities and anomalies. With my candidate, our candidate, District Attorney Michael Cain, with Mr. Tofstead, every single Republican in this county, for whatever reason, had issues with their elections. Now, do problems happen? Yeah, they do. But did they have 4 freaking years to get ready for the biggest election in human history? Yeah, they did. So I don't think there's any excuse whatsoever to be taking a week to count a county that has 150,000 people tops voting. Tops.
Yeah.
That's not even the people. The amount of people who voted in 2020 for county clerk, for instance, was 78,000 people. Okay, so you're not even gonna get the whole population voting. How does it take you that long to count some freaking votes, bro? I don't get it.
I don't know. A lot of questions. And obviously, the county clerk was also up for election, and she won. She
Of
won
course
again.
she won. Which, hey, love Cheryl, but, wasn't the strongest campaign. Either way, what I discussed earlier in the show was that we know how they cheated in the past. They would come in the middle of the night with ballots from said state, and they would backfill. And they would kick poll challengers out. They didn't have cameras. They would board up windows.
Do we have cameras now in Doña Ana?
I don't think so.
Do you know?
They kicked out.
There's no excuse for that.
They kicked out no cameras. They kicked out Republican poll challengers. They let ballots just come in willy-nilly throughout the week. That's on record. I mean, they found 1,000 ballots here, found 500 ballots there. So they're doing everything that we know that they do to cheat here in Doña Ana County. And here we go, bulletin printing that Fernando Macias already won, and then it says repeatedly in the actual article that these are just preliminary unofficial preliminary results. And Sun News didn't say anything. Shout out to Sun News. The news hasn't said anything, but the bulletin wants to go out of their way to try and certify an election that's not certifiable.
That's interesting. The other thing we haven't talked about is the fact in New Mexico, day of the election, you could go in there and you could register to vote, and you could also vote that day, which I hate.
That's okay as long as you show your ID and you get your voter, because your voter registration to register to vote here in the nation, in the country here in New Mexico too, you have to show your valid American driver's license.
So if you go in that day, they do require that?
They're supposed to. Now that's another challengeable anomaly that we can look into. From what I understand, there are instances of where they're not requiring identification when they're registering some of these people. So there's so many ways that we can go about. These guys just got caught. I'll just say it. I mean, why? And you can get mad at me for saying this stuff. Oh, he's a conspiracy, whatever. Like, well, look, bro.
He's an election denier.
You should have counted the damn votes the same night of election night, like the rest of the country did. Okay? Why it's taking you a week for little old New Mexico, Doña Ana County is obvious. It's obvious.
It's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
It really is embarrassing. But okay, so let's take this negative, okay, we'll say negative, and turn it into a positive, because this needs to inspire, encourage, and give us more energy and get ready for the next election.
That's right.
If you are even thinking about this, and you have a candidate, maybe you're thinking about running, you've never been involved, you can always help. You can always inspire someone to run. You can be a volunteer in a campaign. Maybe you can't do any of that, but maybe you have a little checkbook that you can write a few bucks to. Just keep thinking of that, because I tell you what, this is November. Okay, we're going to have our holidays and all that. But man, January comes, hit the ground running, and be engaged. Even if the only thing that you do is become more informed. And we plan to still keep doing this show, and our mission as Republican conservative Latinos, boomer, millennial, we want to keep New Mexico informed, especially local Las Cruces and the Doña Ana County. Would you agree? Anything to add to that,
Zeke? This is great. I mean, that's very well said. What we're talking about today is so important. It's so important to understand how these elections work, how we can stop it in the future. Like, we need lawyers, guys. If you're a lawyer, you hear this out, you know a lawyer, because they're officers of the law, okay? And that's why Trump had these guys throughout all the swing states, lawyers being, hey, you guys aren't kicking any Republican challengers out. You guys aren't letting these ballots inside the warehouse at all. And that was lawyers. So if you guys know lawyers that want to jump in and do this, because, yeah, it costed Trump $150 million, but I know there's some legit lawyers here in New Mexico that want to keep this state prosperous, that can do some work and make sure that this next election cycle, we have lawyers on site with poll challengers, poll watchers. We don't let them kick us out of the warehouse. We don't let them board up windows and board up doors. We make sure we know and see exactly what's going on in those damn county warehouses.
And I want to give a shout out to Joan Scherer.
Oh, yeah.
Election Integrity for CCIA, Coalition of Conservatives in Action. And she has done such a great job. And next election, I mean, even more of us need to volunteer. I couldn't be there. I couldn't do everything that needed to be done. But if you can, I mean, it's a great experience. Go for it. I want to go over the state elections specifically, but I do want to just mention real quick, because I bet maybe you guys missed this like I did. I did not vote for the GRT. Okay,
no on GRT.
That's the tax increase for Las Cruces, all right? It was supposed to be for infrastructure and things like that.
Right, yeah.
And I think, I want to say the percentage, if I'm wrong, was around more than 40% of the people voted no, which that's good, because typically things like this, people just say, yeah, we need the money, we need to do all that. And one thing I was reading this, and I'll give the Bulletin credit, okay? They were writing about this. And so this was to increase the tax in gross receipts. But here's one thing. With the passage of this GRT question, the council, the city council, can further increase the taxes by 21 cents for every $100 spent. This would not require a vote of the residents, okay? So we voted, at least this time we voted for this increase. But what they can do instead, they can approve this with a majority vote of its members. Now, I'll say the sentence too. So we're giving them a lot of power, okay? And I didn't even know that this was. I thought it was simply for what we originally voted for. It says, however, when counselors spoke to the Bulletin in October, most suggested this was not something they wanted to pursue, or that it was entirely off the table. So that's kind of like their little butt protector there. But I just want to bring that to your attention, because you may have voted for this thing thinking you were doing a really good thing. But I just want you to know. And what we got to do now, too, like more than ever, we're the bosses, remember? We're the bosses. They're the employees. Got to keep your eye on them. And when they're doing something you don't like, just like your employee, you need to bring it to their attention. And that's what we're going to do here on the show, too. We're going to bring it to your attention, to our attention.
Yeah, Thomas Jefferson said famously, you have true liberty when the government fears the people, and you have a true tyranny when the people fear the government. And so now that we know how to keep these people in check with the elections, they're definitely going to be fearing us. So here comes the liberty. For the gross receipts tax increase, I mean, this is ridiculous. I know explicitly of massive fraud, waste, and abuse going on in this city, okay? Which basically means that they're wasting our tax dollars on stupid bullshit. And I hate to, excuse my French, but it just, when they waste our tax dollars, that really pisses me off, because they could be using that to help homeless, they could be using it to help veterans, they could be using it to help children, for crying out loud. But they don't. They waste it on, I don't even want to tell you the stuff that I know that they're wasting our time.
Okay, give me one thing that comes to mind when you think about that, because you've been here, I've only been back 2.5 years or so, but something that I wish we could just have all the expenses. Maybe they do have them online. Do they?
They should have a
public
report.
record. Public record.
They should have a public record and a report on where all our expenses are going and where's all the fraud, waste, and abuse. I can't say where, because they'll know who told me if I told you.
But
for sure, there's a ton, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars being wasted on dumb stuff. All I want is an audit of where our tax dollars are going first. Mm-hmm. And then you want to take more money later? Maybe. But we can probably save a couple mil from just cleaning up all the mess you guys have made. Because the city council's been a mess. Why do I say that? Because the crime's to the roof, homelessness problem's getting worse. Can't even afford our groceries anymore. Then you want to charge us more money on our money? Dude, that's totally communist stuff there. Okay, we should be taking taxes out of the people's hands. Okay, that's what a true liberty gives. That's what this country was founded on, running away from freaking taxes. And these people want to happily, tax you more. Well, what are you doing with the money we're giving you now? You can't tell us? Well, no, I'm not giving you nothing.
And one of my big things, okay, is, I'm older than you, And at night, when I drive, we need so many of our streets to be, the lines need to be painted. I mean, we need obvious repairs too,
Great
potholes
example.
and stuff like that. But when it rains, and it, you know, okay, we have a lot of very bright sunshine, and you could probably say it probably eats the paint. I don't know what kind of paint they're using or whatever. And we do, those need totally restructuring, repainting all the time. But sometimes, man, I can barely see the lines. And okay, so even Gary, who is a millennial and much younger than me, okay, even he's agreeing with me. And that's danger. Gen X. See, we got everything represented here.
Close.
Gen X, millennial, and boomer. But that really bothers me because that's very important, and not because it looks pretty. It's safety. There's a big safety factor involved. Come on, dudes.
You know, and here's the thing, guys. Is I've been involved with politics and local government for enough time to understand how it kind of works now, and it's exactly how you would think. You know, if you don't keep a close eye on these people and really do your due diligence on who we're electing, how they're spending the money, and who they're hiring to do the jobs that we need done in the city, it's literally some dumbass's cousin that they hire who's not qualified, who does horrible work, that ends up getting these tax dollars through these government contracts.
Little kickbacks.
And that's really what happens. So we absolutely have to keep a close eye on our elected officials and who they're hiring and how they're spending that money. Because if we don't, I'll tell you right now, their cousin's going to get hired. And they barely just got their license and they suck. All right? But they happen to know someone in office that get them a government contract. I've seen it. I can drive you around the state and show you example after example of somebody's freaking dumbass cousin who doesn't know what the hell they're doing, spending our money on terrible jobs. And it just happened in our... Look at the school up there on Elks. They built a school in Arroyo that wasn't proved to be flooded. So they spent millions of dollars building an elementary school.
Oh, right.
And they're rebuilding another one right
Is
now.
that Columbia?
I think it was Columbia. They're rebuilding one now where they actually lifted it up and put dirt so it's not in a freaking flood zone anymore. But we gave this kid millions of dollars to build a school in a flood zone. He skips town. No liability, no accountability.
They're not even going after him.
No, well, it's too late now. You got to skip town. And it's an LLC, so they can touch the LLC all they want. So it's done.
Wow.
We just lost millions of dollars because I guarantee that dude either was his cousin or he knew somebody in the government that got him that government contract. Wasted millions of dollars, wasted. That could have went to freaking children. And that's just one example, bro. I can literally drive you guys around all over Southern New Mexico and just point things out, and you're like slapping yourself in the face. You know, like wow.
So two things here. Okay, so all of you, not everybody that watches the show is living in Las Cruces or even New Mexico, and thank you very much for that. But these problems are across the country.
All across the country.
You know, pay attention to your city. It's so easy to go to work every day, whatever you got to do, and you forget. All of a sudden, it appears in the paper, and you're personally affected, and then you start paying attention. Don't do it now. But the other question that I have is, we've got some races coming up next year for city council.
Sure do.
And there's some people that may be running, and you know, there would be wonderful qualified people like Mr. Zeke here, you would make a wonderful, great city council person.
Yep.
You know, so if
I
you're
ain't
thinking
gonna do
about it, I want to throw that at you right now.
I may end up doing it. It depends. You know, we'll see how things go. I wouldn't mind running for city council at all. I think it's not really that big of a race. I think it only comes down to like 1,000 votes. I don't even think it's that many votes.
People typically, and then next year's going to be an off year. Last election, 16%? It was under 20% in a city election that voted, which is pathetic.
Yeah.
That is pathetic. But it also tells me, because of you, someone like you, who's very active, they're winnable. These races are winnable.
Yeah, we've seen him. I mean, our mayor shouldn't have been winning at all. I mean, he was conservative Democrat, but they don't like those guys either. And by any stretch of the imagination, he shouldn't have won, but he did. And I'm grateful for him. I really like Mayor Enriquez, and he's a Democrat. That's fine. I'll work across the aisle. I'll work with anybody who wants to have a prosperous community. But
and he's pretty fair. He's come and he's talked to us after the election.
He's not discriminatory. He's open. You know, we're just groups trying to. CCI is just a group trying to fix things, man. You know, the Republican Party has been absent, to say the least. And I think Juan and you guys at CCI have done a great job giving the public a voice, enacting change in the best way you can, peacefully. So for Mayor Enriquez, a good man, I may say, you know, he's pretty much powerless until we get a good city council in there. And we've got 3 races next, so we can take back our city council next year if we get good enough candidates to get in there. I may run. There's a couple other candidates I wanted to approach, and we'll start running pretty quick. Now the problem is if you announce too soon, I shouldn't even be telling you guys this, but then they'll start flooding it with challengers, you know, with primaries. Mm-hmm. You know, and there's all kinds of strategy that goes behind this stuff, guys. But the main thing is that we have to have people watching our elections. And then the other hill is ranked choice. We are
that's right.
We are a ranked choice
that's right.
community. So it's just tough. It's just tough. But you can dominate in ranked choice. It happens all the time. If you get 80% of the vote, there's no way anybody can win.
And I want to mention, so the ranked choice voting, that was not voted on by the citizens of Las Cruces. It was simply produced through the city council.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to start bugging my city councilwoman and say, get rid of that. They have the power to get rid of it. Now, they probably won't, but I want them to know what I think, because I do not like ranked choice voting. I am not a fan.
No, it's stupid.
I think it's horrible.
It's just as dumb as taking a week to count votes. You know what I mean? It's like, what the hell for? It's ridiculous.
And I will give credit, and I'm going to forget her name, and maybe I shouldn't mention her name because she works for the county. But this person put it so succinctly and said, the problem with ranked choice voting, you are allowed one vote. That's your vote, and per election. When you do the ranked choice voting, that messes everything up. I don't like the idea of people assigning my vote, because what if we had a runoff, say, and I decide, you know what, I'm changing my mind. I'm going to vote for this other person. They don't give you that option. So talk about how the radical left is always talking about, oh, you're disenfranchising people's vote. That is a big disenfranchiser. I do like making up words.
They always accuse us of what the hell they're doing. You know what I mean? If they're saying we're disenfranchising it, best believe that what they're doing is disenfranchising the vote, and it is. Because the candidate with the most votes should win, and with ranked choice voting, that's not the case. You know, you can go through different rounds and still win if you're at the bottom of the barrel at the beginning. Yeah. You know, and that's usually what happens. Now,
I do like in Phoenix, I believe the way it works for the local city council, you need to get there's 5 people running, so someone needs to get 51%. If they don't get the 50% plus 1, okay. If they don't get that, then what they do is they take the top 2 vote getters, and they have a runoff. So you vote between that, and I think that's a fair thing to do. You know.
Yeah, runoffs are cool. I think runoffs are okay. There's no problem with that. Nothing wrong with that.
And make it go again. But so that's our local report. Anything else locally that you want to say?
No, that's important stuff. I think everybody needs to listen to what we're saying and get involved with your election process, get involved with your city council. County commission, we have a couple county commission seats coming up as well next year. I think at least 2 county commissioner seats are coming up next year.
And I think our good friend Julia Ruiz, I think she's going to go for county commission.
I think she'll win. I think she'll do very well.
We'll have her up here as a guest. And just a quick note, too, the last couple of months or so of the election period, it was our intention to have on as many candidates as possible. But logistic-wise, things came up, and we really tried. And so that's kind of always our mission, because we want to expose you to candidates. And they do always have an open invitation. And it's hard for them, too, because they're out campaigning. They can't always be here when we're recording or broadcasting. But we just got started. For having, that was really our first election year that we were pretty strong.
Oh, it was so tough because we were both running campaigns. Yeah. We got a new studio here, so it was tough. But we're going to keep you guys informed. I get approached regularly about how important the show is to them, to some of the viewers out there. Thank you guys for your support. And I just wish we had this when I was first getting involved in politics. I wish there was some kind of local news outlet that I can listen to that can teach me about how the voter fraud works, teach me about how they're wasting our tax dollars in the city government. And then you know where to go. Then you know where to attack peacefully, of course. We always want to do things peacefully.
Absolutely. And have a good resource. Our deal is to give you the most credible, accountable, and truthful resource that we can. And that's kind of our mission. We're doing that. And the shout out also to Chips and Salsa Show Arizona, Cheryl Rosado, and also George Ortiz, Don Jorge. They did a great job out there. Plus, Turning Point USA is coming up. AmeriFest. Is it AmeriFest or America Fest?
I'm trying to go.
And I'm going to go. So that's towards the end of December. It's going to be fantastic. I really hope that you can make it.
I hope so too.
Because it's and if you can go too. You need to register. So go on their website for Turning Point USA. And I tell you what, Charlie Kirk needs to come here to NMSU, to our alma mater, because that is another mission that we have, is to recruit more millennials, Gen Xers, to come in. And they are. This is what this election did too. They encouraged them. I loved every time Charlie Kirk was up, I would watch that, because he is such a good debater and so smart, and I always learned something new from him. Always. Maybe you should do that.
I got a request recently with one of the head Trump correspondents here in New Mexico that, you know, if we want to get Trump out here, we got to have someone hit the college campuses more, like Charlie Kirk does. And so I'll be working on that. I can do NMSU no problem. I don't mind
You
going
would
there.
be great. I mean, you would be a Charlie Kirk
Yeah.
to be out there.
Well, I mean, it's a little different too when it's someone Hispanic. There's a Hispanic area. It's, you know, it adds a little
True.
bit more flavor to it. And I'm a little scared of UNM, man, because they got the radicals up
Okay,
there.
you and Ben Luna.
Ben Luna's great. I
That would
love
be
to do with
awesome,
Ben. Yeah,
'cause-
we would do great. Me and Ben would kill it if we went together.
You guys would be
I'll
wonderful.
talk to Ben about that. I'll talk to
Yeah,
him about
do that. Maybe we'll do something kind of fun at NMSU if we can. You know,
I always wanted a bullhorn NMSU, you know, just look.
It's special to me. We're both Aggies, okay? That's our alma mater, our alumni. It's
Okay.
and so it
Okay.
is very important to us, and it's been a little bit of a bummer because of things that have been happening at the college level. When I was there a long time ago in the 70s, okay? You want me to tell you when I graduated? I graduated in 1980, and it
That's
was
not the 70s.
it was awesome. Well, I went to school 76 and 70s, and I would like to make NMSU great again. Everything, right?
I think that the university, the infrastructure needs to be completely redone. I mean, it's just you're not getting your return on investment anymore. I mean, they're just teaching a lot of these kids. They're just indoctrinating most of these kids. You know.
Yeah.
I think obviously some universities are great. I mean, NMSU is good for business, engineering. They got a DO school there now. But most you're just going there to learn about atheism and communism, yeah, you know, and critical race theory. I mean, I'm straight up. I mean, I have friends that go to the school right now that tell me about it. They're like, yeah, they just kind of teach us how to hate white people all the time, and
But they realize it. I mean, at least they.
well, they're conservatives.
Because they're conservatives.
And they see it, and there's nothing you can really do about it. Because if you guys don't know, what really manages and dictates the universities are the regents, the board of regents. The board of regents are appointed by the governor. So elected officials again is huge.
That's a lot of power
huge
for a governor
power,
to have.
Huge power. Because NMSU is supposed to be an agricultural school. It's got a great history, just like I was saying, make NMSU great again. It is a great school. I had a great education there. But
I did too.
As of
I
right
did too.
now, it ain't the same. It ain't the same. So
It's changed.
You got to get that governor out of there. Got to get a conservative governor in there, and have a good long-standing amount of time with the conservative governor. We needed 16 years to clean up all the mess that we've had here.
We need to start looking for somebody to run for governor too. I want to mention something because this is fun and this is encouraging as well. I think I told you about this already, Zeke. But he's my great nephew, and he goes to Mesilla Valley Christian School, MVCS. So they did
Great
like
school.
a little poll, okay, and election day, and they sent me the whiteboard they did. And so they asked some of the students, Trump or Kamala, okay? Trump or Harris, I should say. So I'll show it to you, okay? So you can say I'm not lying.
That's a similar poll that I had
Okay.
on mine.
So, yeah, so Trump, 198, and I have permission to share this from them. And then Kamala, 7. So that was there. I love this, okay? And I'm encouraged. It is a very good school. It is a very good school, and I'm glad that my great nephew goes there because he is great. And their parents are doing a great job. You know, have them involved in sports, trying to get them to school and not a public school. And he's lucky because he gets to go there. And if you're not, that's okay, because keep an eye on your schools too. Coalition is going to be very active on that. Oh, and one more thing, I'm going to shout out to them. If you're available Thursday nights at Kitchen Craft over on Telshore, 6 p.m., join us. We're going to have great speakers. They're going to be very active. Typically, they used to always have speakers every week.
Right.
Now what they're going to do is I think every other week have a speaker, and then on those weeks that they don't, we'll get our committees together and be more actively engaged. And I think that's going to be awesome.
That's good.
Isn't
good.
that smart?
That's really good.
All right. Kind of feel like I've hogged the microphone. Do you want to talk about the state races? That's kind of your purview because you've been here longer than I have.
Well, I mean, the state races, you know, shout out to Jay Block for state senator. Shout out to Ann Thornton for state senator. Those are amazing candidates.
Yes.
Those guys in the Senate. Oh, yeah, Mr. Townsend ran unopposed. He's now a state senator as well. We're just shy. if we actually had a decent election here in Doña Ana, we would be only 1 or 2 seats away from taking control of the
I think
Senate.
we could have won those. Yeah.
We would have taken control of the Senate this next time around, for sure. You know, so either way, shout out to them.
Jennifer Jones.
Jennifer Jones won, dominated, absolutely dominated. Dow won. Shout out to Rebecca Dow.
And like 60 in the 60s, right? 60 percentages, I think.
Yeah.
Great job. Great job.
The biggest thing beyond so go to national, I think, a little bit of gloating.
Do it, man.
And it's going to be a good taste because I think a lot of the people who voted for Kamala, and I know some of you listen to this show, they were misled and they were exploited. And I think the main demographic was single women over the age of 30. I think that's their main demographic, single women over the age of 30, 35.
Embarrassing.
And so that's who's mostly voting for the Democrats right now. That's just what it is. I'm not trying, but what you're going to realize if you did vote for Kamala. So I did a similar poll. We talked about on the show. I had about 530 people participate. 510 voted for Trump. Out of
510.
Out of 530. So only 20 people voted for Kamala.
And then you might say, well, those are your followers, but he's got a lot of followers that are not in line with
That's
his
correct.
policies.
I do.
So it really should have been higher.
It should have been higher.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you right now, there's people who listen to the show that I know that are Kamala voters, and I'm telling you guys, thank you for watching the show.
Yes,
but
thank you.
the sad thing you're going to run into, you're going to have some cognitive dissonance, is that Trump has already announced that he's going to be going first after the child traffickers and human traffickers in the country. That's his first plan of action, because those are the ones who are controlling the elections. Those are the ones who are getting these horrible politicians in office. If we can eliminate that threat, the whole country can come around. And that's something we all get behind, right? No matter what side of the aisle you're on, you want to get rid of
children,
child traffickers and human traffickers, right? So you're going to see, if you were an open border Kamala Harris voting Dem, you really were on the wrong side. I mean, that was just one of the most evil regimes this world has ever seen.
And they were purposely keeping that information, those facts from you. And that is a horrible thing to do.
That's right.
Horrible.
So I'm empathizing. I'm not throwing you under the bus. I'm not accusing you of being an evil regime. I'm just saying the deception was so high that you really felt that you were voting for the right side. But as you see things unfold, when Trump goes after these horrible human traffickers, child traffickers, that the policies of Mayorkas and Kamala Harris and Joe Biden were the ones who led to these 300,000 plus children missing, and people getting subdued into sex slavery, work factory labor slavery, where the kids they'll finding them dead in these factories, missing hands, missing feet, because they get injured in these horrible work conditions, and it sucks. But we have a home for you. We understand people make mistakes. You were deceived. We're here to undeceive you and to be here for you when you want to get on the right side of things and start combating against that same thing. We all need to work together right now.
Right. No, you said that very, very well. And what's exciting too, I posted it, I think I shared it with you also, and Trump he has the benefit of having already served as a president. A lot of glitches he's not going to have to go through. He's getting things organized, and he's got some great people. So it's very encouraging and exciting, and we still need to pray for him, for his safety.
Yeah.
And let's remember to close it out with your wonderful prayer, too, when we close out the show.
Okay, yeah, so I think that's it. You got anything else?
I just want to say thank you for supporting our show.
That's right.
It's wonderful when I get a text that, hey, did you guys do a show, or where is it, and I really appreciate that. If you have suggestions for us, email me, alicelara@hotmail.com, or message me on Facebook. We're going to go to all the platforms. It's going to be a very exciting time to be politically and actively engaged. And I appreciate you as a partner, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you,
awesome.
Alice. It's been great.
Thank you, Gary Huff.
Thanks you, Gary, for being on the Sound Sticks. It's been great. I can't believe we're here talking about everything we just talked about today. This is the stuff that I would have been, called an absolutely foaming at the mouth rabid conspiracy theorist. But it's all out in the open.
Joining you.
It's all out in the open. You just can't deny it anymore. It's over. You guys lost, and you lost bad, and you lost because you're cheaters and you're liars and you're deceivers, and the devil is a deceiver. You're on the wrong team. And that being said, we'll end it with a prayer. Thank you, Lord, so much for bringing us here today to share your message, Lord, to share good news with the community. I pray that you continue to guide us and to protect us, and for this county to come through with a transparent election, that those who ran for office get to see what the real results were, so that we can be in a better position to protect the community, Lord, because we do this all for you. And we pray for President Trump and his family, and for all those around the country that did what they needed to do to make sure that we had a fair election, so that way Mr. Trump can get in office. Thank you so much, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Wonderful prayer. Thank you so much, Zeke. Always
Yeah.
do a great job.
So thank you guys so much. We'll be back next week. This will be uploaded to YouTube sometime today, hopefully. It's live on Facebook. Thank you guys again.
Thanks for sharing.
You guys have a great rest of your November, all right?
Alice Lara, Zeke Rodriguez,
Yes.
Chips and Salsa Show, New Mexico.
Later, guys.
Hasta.